Right before we jump into this video, if you'd like to take better pictures in low light situations, just look for this orange box over on the website, put your name, email address in it, hit send it, and I will send you that guide for free. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is a review of Sony's 35mm f1.4 G Master. That's right, they haven't had a 35 1.4 G Master up to this point, but they did have an older 35 1.4. They do have a 24 1.4 G Master, so it was about time that they came out with this one. Now, what I was just looking at, not just the G on the side, was making sure I had the right lens because it is super light. Like, they made this lens so light that it makes me question whether I want to take something like this 35 1.2 Sigma lens out into the world that is so much heavier, but we'll get to that when we talk about the specs and the weight and the price, and then I'll try to help you decide which lens might be the right one for you. But let's take a walk around the outside of the lens. Right here, you have your plastic lens hood. If you're gonna use a lens hood, sorry, let me rephrase that. If you're gonna take pictures, use the lens hood. Always put the damn lens hood on. Don't be that person that has the lens hood like this and you're like, yeah, I'm cool, I'm shooting like here. It's a lens hood for a reason. Use it. If you want flare, I guess don't use it if that's what you're going for. On the side here, you have a custom button, a custom function button that you could set. I don't personally ever use it, but you could set it to whatever it is that you would like. You can use it with the A7R4 because this is an E-mount lens. It's for Sony E-mount cameras. That's whether you're using the APS-C crop sensor or you're using any of the full frame bodies. Right here is your on and off switch for the click. So that means when you turn your aperture ring, it's either smooth for that cinematic smoothness that some people want when they're shooting video, or when you put it to on, you get those clicks. Bud Wise. You know, like a frog. You have your AF to manual switch right here on the side. And if you're wondering, does this have a lock for the aperture ring? The answer is no, and I don't like that. But then again, I've never had a ring so tight. This is a super tight ring that it actually takes some force, if I would turn it the right way, to unlock it. So I don't think it's gonna be as big of a deal as when I pick this up, and this thing, you know, you just go like this, barely even locks. That's one of the things I don't like about the Sigma 35 1.2. I like so much about it. I just don't like that every time I take it out of the bag, I gotta make sure that I put it back on A, whereas this one right here, you don't really run into that issue because it actually takes some force to unlock it. In terms of filter thread, you have a 67mm filter thread, which means a 67mm lens cap that says Sony, because what else would it say? It weighs in at 1.17 pounds or 524 grams. Now that's important because this bad boy right here weighs in at 2.4 pounds or 1,090 grams. It's half the weight. This is a behemoth of a lens. I've taken this on the road with me. I used it when I was photographing AOC. I used it when I was photographing Bernie Sanders. It is a beast of a lens, and I love what I get at 1.2, but the big dilemma is size and weight an issue for you? And if size and weight is an issue, then you're gonna have to decide between these two, or do you? Because there's actually a third option. Right here is the Sigma 35 f2, which is a hell of a lot lighter. It's under a pound, and right there, you have that option. Price-wise, $639, $1,400, and $1,500 right here. Look, if you don't have a ton to spend, you're not gonna go wrong with the 35 f2i from Sigma. We have a review on this coming up. If not, it is already out. You can check it out. This is a pretty good option if you're looking for something a little more affordable. When you're trying to decide between these two, we're gonna have to take a look at the pictures, and then I'm gonna give you some of my input to help you decide which one might be the right one for you. Now, before I get into the photos, don't forget, please like this video. If you like these lens reviews, it helps us out to go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I'd like to see 10,000 thumbs up. Maybe we'll hit 10,000 and I'll give a lens away one day. I don't know. Go ahead, please hit that. Also, don't forget you can download these sample raw files over on the website. Now, the first photo right here was done out in a park. I had a friend bring out her shaggy dog, which I actually don't have a picture of for this, but we'll pop a picture up of the shaggy dog because we took pictures with the 65mm f2 from Sigma. She has that nice long-haired dog. She has great eyes. And I'm like, all right, your eyes, they're amazing. Let's take some pictures with the 35-1.4 at 1.4 and the 35-1.2 at 1.2. And this one is the one at 1.4 using the A7R4. It is super, I mean, it is beyond sharp. It's gorgeous. The clarity and color at this, with this lens wide open, is absolutely gorgeous. The next shot is the one at 1.2. It doesn't look like I nailed it as much. Now, keep in mind, that's going to change from photo to photo. Sometimes you miss ever so slightly at 1.4. Now, if you're off at 1.2, you're definitely gonna see that it's off. Will most people know the difference even when it's enlarged? Probably not. I prefer having things super duper sharp, but in some cases, you may not get it. But the eye still looks good here. It's just in this case, it actually looks better on the 1.4 shot sample image that we had. Let me cut in here real quick because I want to show you this picture taken with the Sony 35-1.4 and edited with presets from FroPack 2, starting with Bob Ross for People. Boom, one click, that looks good. Caribbean Creamsicle gives it a unique look. Then we've got Charlie Brown. Look at that, that gives you that 1970s, 1980s feel that we're used to as kids. Cinnamon Toast Crunch even works. Then down here to matte black, which is unique. A lot of people like the feeling of those muted out colors. Then there's matte black high contrast and matte black low contrast. Now, if you're looking to speed up your raw workflow or give yourself a great starting point, we created 15 all new custom Lightroom presets that you can check out right now at FroKnowsPhoto.com/FroPack2. While you're over there, you can play with the sliders to see the befores and the afters. And if you decide to pick them up right now, they are currently on sale, or you can save even more when you bundle FroPack 1 and FroPack 2 together. So now let's get back to the video. Now, in terms of aperture blades, both of these have 11. You know me with bokeh blades or aperture blades, I don't care. And if you care about bokeh blades, then there's a problem. I care about going and taking pictures because there's no such thing as a bad lens today. Seriously, no such thing until I try a lens that's going to be bad. But I don't know. I haven't really seen a bad lens in a long time. Moving on, we've got this nice photo of a bebe at 1.4. Look at the tones. Gorgeous black and white. So this is a mother, just had a baby a month ago. I went over to the house, photographed the kid, test out a bunch of different lenses. I wore a mask. She's wearing a mask in this photo. She didn't really need to wear a mask. It's her house. But I honestly think it's interesting that when they look back in 10 years and they're wearing a mask and hopefully we're out of this whole thing, that will mean something. Like, remember that time. I was pregnant during that time. I had a baby during that time. So in storytelling, that actually means something. At least it does to me. It's something they can look back on. But that is a super tight, gorgeous black and white. Now we move on to the feet. It's always a good idea to get a feet picture. You know, the little tootsies with those little piggies that go to market and some of them go wee all the way home. I think that's a Geico commercial. This is not sponsored by Geico. Just take pictures of the feet. It's in focus like right there at 1.4. Now, you don't need to be at 1.4 all the time when you have a 1.4. I just so happened to shoot it at 1.4 because I wanted to see how good it could do wide open. The focusing motors in this are super duper fast. In combination with any of Sony's cameras, you're gonna do great because it is super fast focusing. The motors are nice and awesome. Next up, we got two sample shots. We got one done at 1.4, which is this one. The next one is done with the Sigma f2. Now, do you notice the color difference? I noticed the color difference and I checked the raw file. The white balance is set exactly the same. I synced both of those files. So we've noticed that there's some differences between the Sigma color that you get and Sony color. Is one right? Is one wrong? I don't think it matters. I think you can color correct after, but I do feel that in this situation, this Sony lens represents the color naturally really, really well. Sharp, colorful, nice tones, nice and clear and nice and crisp. Whereas the f2, even though it's a lot less expensive, it's still a great option, doesn't really, in comparison, when they're side by side, give you that same feel. Moving on, we've got the little baby here again, facing the window, so I've got the light coming in so that it's right in the kid's face. I made sure that that's the side that she held the baby on because it's important to direct that. They don't know, like if she put it on the other side and her body is blocking the light, well, in this case, her body isn't blocking the light. This is done at 1.2. You can see it is nice, it's sharp, the colors look good. That's done with the Sigma. Now I show you that one because the next one is done at 1.4. It's not the exact same shot because the kid's moving and she's doing all different types of things, but just look at the eye. Look at how gorgeous that reflection looks. Super sharp, beautiful tones, and I'm just really happy with the results that I got right there. And this again, just look at that light coming up and look at the nice tones and sharpness with that lens. Now moving on to Christmas morning, I photographed the niece and nephew. I always photograph them for the last couple years, and this is, we'll zoom in on this. Super distant, we're at what? I'm at 2500 ISO on the A7R4 and zooming in a super duper long way, and it looks nice. The colors are good. Not the greatest lighting in the world, but if you're shooting in a house, that's what you're dealing with, plus the colors coming off the Christmas tree. Now I put this next shot here because he was holding out his new sword and he was showing it to me, so I'm focusing on the sword at 1.4. He's out of focus. You got some bokeh balls that look pretty good out on the side, and she's out of focus in the background, and I'm happy with this lens. You don't hear focusing. You don't feel focusing. Now, there is no image stabilization in the lens, but that's okay because you've got image stabilization in the body. So who's this lens for? Well, this is an amazing lens for anybody, honestly, if you can afford it. If you don't have a prime lens, a 35mm is a great prime to start with. 50s are nice, but 35 is great for those street photos that you're looking for, or great environmental portraits, or full body shots where you want to focus and isolate the subject away from the background. That's what the 35-1.2 does really well at 1.2. It isolates the subject extremely well from the background when you shoot them full frame. But this 35-1.4 is fantastic, but I have to do a very important test right here. I got to sniff it. I just got to smell this bad boy. Ow!
Are you okay?
Yeah, it's like a razor blade to the nose. It's so sharp. It's right, it's not even cheddar, not even sharp cheddar. Wind tunnel test time! I'm going all the way back, and I'm gonna go forward. That is solid. It didn't go anywhere. My notes went somewhere, but this lens didn't go anywhere, which means it passed the wind tunnel test. At the end of the day, making a decision, $1,400, $1,500 for the Sigma. I hope that they come out with a second version of this Sigma that locks the aperture ring. I hope they make some changes to it, but I love this lens. If I need to go somewhere and I need to be lighter and more compact, I'm gonna take the Sony. If this is hard. This is very hard. I love the 1.2. I think that the Sony is a sharper, clearer lens at some points, but that 1.2, the discrepancy there, the difference there, I don't think most people will notice the difference, but I notice it when I'm shooting with it and I can isolate my subject. I'm still leaning towards getting this bad boy, but for the majority of people, this 35 1.4 G Master is a fantastic option, and that's what I have to say about it. Let me know what you think down below. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Download those raw files, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.